Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamuna Tira Manachari Antara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Chapter 5, text 21. Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. It's 21. Okay, ready? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasu. I said that, right? Okay. Okay, I'll go for the verse. Bahu Bhayaspasya Asaktatma Bhaya Aspasaya Asaktanam Viditya Atmani Yat Sukham Vidyatme Atmani Yat Sukham Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma Sukham Aksayam Asunat Vayu Spasa Asaktatma Vidyat Atmani Yat Sukham Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma Sukham Aksaya Asanut Vaya Spasa Asaktatma Vinityatya Atmani Yat Sukham Sa Brahma Yoga Yutatma Sukham Aksayan Asanut. Anyone want to try? Vayaspasari Asaktatma Vedanti Atmanayat Sukham Sa Brahma Yoga Yutatma Sukham Aksayamanasanut. Word for word. Balayaspasa Balayaspasu, external sense pleasure. Ashaktatma, one who is not attached. Vidati, enjoys. Atmani, in the self. Yat, that which. Sukham, happiness. Sa, he. Brahma Yoga, by concentration in Brahman. Yuktatma, self-connected. Sukham, happiness. Akshayam, unlimited. Asnut, enjoys. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Such a liberated person is not attached to the material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasures within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Sri Yamunacharya, a great devotee in Krishna consciousness, said, Yad avidi mama cheta Krishna paravindaya nama nama rasa dasmi udityam ratum asit tad avidi bad nadi sangam smarayamana pavanti mukham vikata sususta nisityavanam cha. Since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in Him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought, and my lips curl with distaste. A person in Brahma Yoga or Krishna consciousness is so absorbed in loving service of the Lord that he loses his taste for material sense pleasure altogether. The higher pleasure is in terms of matter is sex pleasure. The highest pleasure in terms of matter is sex pleasure. But the whole world is moving under its spell, and materialists cannot work at all without this motivation. But a person engaged in Krishna consciousness can work very great vigor without sex pleasure, which he avoids. That is a test in spiritual realization. Spiritual realization and sex pleasure go ill together. A Krishna conscious person is not attracted to any kind of sense pleasure due to his being a liberated soul. Omagyanti mandasya gana gana salakya chaksu meditam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha Shri Chaitanya mano bhistam stapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kana mayam dadati swapanandikam nama om Vishnu padaya Krishna pasaya bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastatai Satayane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll repeat some points what I heard from a lecture on a seminar by Danavi Maharaj, Danavi Goswami. Tools of attaining happiness. He made some interesting points. So I'll try and connect it to this verse because in his purport, Prabhupada speaks about those who are spiritually elevated don't take pleasure in sense pleasure, which materialists cannot survive without sex pleasure. So Danavi Maharaj in his seminar he was explaining how in terms of in matter itself there is no pleasure. He made this point. In matter itself is just dead. There is no pleasure there. Pleasure comes when consciousness enters matter. So what is his consciousness? Consciousness is soul. So soul by itself, in its highest, on the highest platform, achieves unlimited pleasure. The pleasure he achieves more than in the material world. And when he comes in touch with Krishna, the highest pleasure is achieved. So he gave a few examples. He said just like a mathematical sum, 5, 6, 5, if you go that way, then you go 0053. So the higher you go, the higher sum, but the lower you go, it becomes 0. So in terms of achieving, even in mathematics it works. So the higher you go, the higher the number. So the same thing in spiritual life. The higher you go, the more pleasure you get. The lower you go, it becomes 0. So
And then he was explaining in terms of scientific point of view, like when someone is trying to enjoy pleasure to the body connects to the mind or connects to the intelligence and the mind, then the mind reacts whether it's pleasure or not. But generally we find in the material world, the pleasures are very temporary. It's very short term. There is more suffering involved than pleasure. But because people have no understanding what is real pleasure in terms of on the spiritual platform, they refer to the material platform. That's due to two things. That's due to a poor fund of knowledge of the soul and a lack of austerities. To approach Krishna directly, take shelter of Krishna directly, one must have done austerities in previous lifetimes. Without that austerity, to approach Krishna or to surrender to Krishna directly through chanting his names and following the line of sadhana and like that, it's not so easy. It requires some level of austerity and kind of connection in previous life. So the devotees are very merciful that they help others come on this path in a way that they can connect to Krishna. So even though they may not have the agyata sukriti behind them to come to that platform immediately, they help them come to that platform by, like we are doing the book marathon now. And just like today, one person, he was a coach driver, bringing the children here. And then he had contact with devotees. So he came to the temple, and then I showed him the table. Then he bought a Krishna book. So in this way, devotees try to increase people's piety, spiritual piety, to the point where the connection to Krishna becomes very strong. The difficulty is, Prabhupada said, some of my devotees are not afraid of Maya. In terms of, they take Maya for granted. They're not very careful in terms of how to deal with how strict they should be in practicing Krishna consciousness. They're more in the line of following line of morality and doing duty in life and like that. But according to the prayers of Swami Bhattacharya, he offered 100 prayers to Lord Chaitanya. In these prayers, he explains that even if one doesn't follow religious principles and his behavior is not good, but if he takes to chanting the holy name, he'll become glorious. On the other hand, he explains that even one may be following religious principles and doing his duties, but if he's not chanting holy name, he's not that glorious. So it seems from these prayers like chanting the holy name is the ultimate shelter. And all of the things we are doing is to help us come to that level of taking shelter of the holy name. So that can only be done in the association of advanced devotees. It says that even in the bird society, there are two kinds of birds. There's the crow and the swan. So crows only look for garbage. The swans stay in nice places. So the Krishna conscious movement is to make the crow-like people into swans. And that can be done if we follow the line of Guru Sadhu Shastra. So the Prabhupada said, we have to see through the eyes of scriptures. We should not depend on the mundane eyes. The living entity has 4 defects. It makes mistakes, turns cheek, imperfect senses, and being illusioned. So, if we depend on these things, we'll become cheated. But if we learn to see through the eyes of scriptures, then we can come to mode of goodness. And from mode of goodness, we can come to pure goodness and connect with Krishna more in a stronger way. It says, there's a quote by Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he explains how someone who's attached to women, wealth and fame, or in other words, in Prabhupada's way, Prabhupada would explain this further, he would say, anyone who attached to the bodily platform, wealth and fame, then he cannot perceive Krishna within the creation. Because Krishna has a connection with his creation also. It's like the flower and the scent. Krishna's connection is like that with the material world. So the connection is there, and he's also present within the creation. So if one is attached to the bodily platform, women, wealth and fame, that connection, the vision will be blocked. He cannot have that vision. So that vision comes when we aim for the line of pure devotional service. And that comes by following the teachings of the acharyas. So Srila Prabhupada gave the teachings, we follow his teachings. We discuss with the devotees who are seriously practicing. Then our vision becomes clear. So, like we see Srila Prabhupada's example, he was very practical. In the early days, he was in an emergency situation. He would put people into GPC positions and sannyasis and to push on the movement of Krishna consciousness. But at some point, he would see that they could not handle the sannyas order. So then he would ask them to get married and still practice Krishna consciousness. The Prabhupada gave the example, he's in the 8th canto Bhagavatam, he says like Gajendra the elephant, he was in the water fighting with the crocodile for 1,000 years. And the crocodile gets strong in the water, but the elephant gets weak. So then eventually Gajendra got weak and he put a flower to Krishna and Vishnu came and saved him. So Prabhupada gives the example in his purpose saying that we have to be strong in our foundation. So whatever helps us to become strong, we should stay within that ashram. For some, the Grihastha ashram is good, and for some, the Brahmacharya ashram is good. So the challenge in Krishna consciousness is to come to mode of goodness. Because Prabhupada said in his conversation, he said, this Krishna consciousness process is very joyful. Chanting, dancing, feasting. So this devotee asked Prabhupada the question, is there any other challenges? And Prabhupada said to come to mode of goodness. If you can come to mode of goodness, then you have a smooth ride. Otherwise it's an uphill struggle. So this mode of goodness platform is achieved if we practice discipline in life. Like in a temple, we have a discipline we practice. getting up for Mangalarti, chanting, enjoying Brahma Murta hours, hearing class, Guru Puja, Kirtan. So this is the way you come to more goodness. And then from goodness, it's like a springboard. You can come to pure goodness. So this is very easily achieved by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Previous times, at a lecture by Karna Makarama, he was saying how even chanting the holy name would not give results very quickly. It'll take a long time. But because of Lord Chaitanya's coming, He's made it easily accessible to everybody. Only thing is, we have to be serious about it. And we have to build up our faith that Krishna is looking after us. That faith has to be there. So that faith comes by association of those who are advanced devotees. Because faith is such a thing, whoever you associate with, you'll take on those qualities. Faith works like that. Just like that man who bought the book today, as I was coming from the heavenly, he was asking me questions. He's asking me, what is this Hinduism? What's the meaning of it? So I explained what Prabhupada said in the Bhagavad Gita. I said, faith is, you can change. Faith is like Krishna becoming a Muslim, Muslim becoming a Hindu. But the word Hindu was given by the Muslims, river Indus, Sindhu, right? Sindhu. And they couldn't pronounce the river S, so they called it Hindu. So from that the word Hindu comes in. So I said the word Hindu is not mentioned in scripture. We are followers of Sanatana Dharma, the eternal service of Krishna. And I get an example like water is wetness, sugar is sweet. That's the nature. So nature of a living entity, he's a servant of Krishna. So yes, so like that we have to educate people in the right way, and then by the purity of the devotees, they will be inspired to come forward. It's because coming to the temple is not like an easy thing. Not everyone can just come like that. There has to be some level of purity behind someone. Because coming to the temple is like you're dealing with devotees and Krishna. And it's like dealing with fire. Fire can purify you or it can burn you. So, but the nice thing is, Krishna is very merciful. That, however, what he does to you, he ultimately he connects you to him. Example is given, like I read in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam about Krishna killing the Adisasura demon, right? The bull demon. Now he came in an angry mood towards Krishna. He frightened the Bijbasis in the villages, and Krishna challenged him, and then Krishna killed him like a sponge. He first he threw him 18 yards, then he threw him upside down, took his horn out, and just killed him like a sponge. And then in the purport it is explained that Krishna can be hard as a thunderbolt or he can be soft as a rose. And the example is given like to Adisasura, he came with great anger to kill Krishna and he frightened his devotees. And Krishna dealt with them in a heavy way. But to the gopis who wanted loving exchanges with Krishna, Krishna was very nice and kind and loving and everything. And in this lecture I heard by Danavi Goswami, he was explaining how Krishna is so caring and loving that um, he will look after you nicely. An example was given, just like um, Rukmini was giving a parijata flower, isn't it, by Narada Muni? He's giving a flower. But then Satyabhama, she asked Krishna that, Rukmini got a parijata flower, can you get me one? And Krishna said, why a flower? I'll give you a tree. So that shows how caring Krishna is, that he cares for your needs. He knows your best interests, and he knows how to bring you towards him. So Srila Prabhupada said in this one day's lecture, he was explaining how as devotees we have to reduce our sleep over time. 6 hours is enough. Goswamis sleep 2 hours, even not that sometimes. Eating should be done in a way that you don't oversleep. Too much eating is not good, then you oversleep. Eating just to maintain body. So it's a science we have to follow to get this higher taste. And that comes by examples given like a bottle of honey. You have to open it to taste it. Jai Shishirara Gokulanda ki jai. If someone is just licking the outer bottle of the honey, he won't taste the honey. So you have to open the bottle to taste the honey. So in order to get this taste of connecting to Krishna, you have to chant the holy name. Unless you chant the holy name, that taste won't be there. And also the other thing is serving the Vaishnavas. By serving the Vaishnavas, then through their mercy, the taste will come easier. It says, by serving those who are free from lust, you become free from lust. So, in this so for a devotee, which ashram he is in, it's secondary. Main thing is he's serving Krishna. Like Priyavata Maharaj, Narada Muni was preaching to him to become a brahmachari. But then Lord Brahma could see that there's no one there to rule the kingdom after him, So Lord Brahma came down and preached to him, you must take this duty on. So then he got married, but he was still a brahmachari. Even as Grihastha, he had children, everything. He was ruling the universe, but still he was brahmachari. So, for a devotee, he benefits the world, whether he's single or married. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that sex life according to religious principles is not different from me. So, we always have to be alert that we always fall in line of purity. Because this will help us not be affected by Maya. And he says even if one has a conditioned nature, the difficulty is coming in. But if he just turns to Krishna, then that conditioned nature will get purified. An example is given like fried pea, doesn't sprout. Fried. So if someone's approaching Krishna with lust, that lust will turn into love. The other thing is we have to understand Krishna in truth. we should not superficially just understand Krishna. We understand in truth, then the connection will become very strong. And then once the connection comes, then it's like putting an iron rod in fire, At some point it becomes fire, not different from fire. So even the material body becomes spiritualized like that. As you go deeper into Krishna consciousness, the body becomes spiritualized and it becomes like fire. And whoever comes in touch with you, they become Krishnaized. So our connection to Krishna is very close. It's like people don't say shine, they say sunshine. So even our connection to Krishna is we are part and parcel of Krishna. So we have to learn to have strong discipline in our chanting, hearing lectures, reading Prabhupada's books, associating with devotees, and being careful not to interact with people who are faithless. In the material world, you have to show etiquette to everybody, but you don't give your heart to people who are faithless, because they'll take your piety away. It says even there's a story about even interacting with atheists, one can get contaminated. So just being nice doesn't take you back to Godhead. You have to follow Krishna's instructions. Because although the devotees are very merciful, they try and help others come towards Krishna gradually. Like we did Harinam in Camden last week, and there was this punk on the just opposite us. He had his little kind of hair, whatever, and he had a donation box. So one of the Mataji, she was trying to give him a leaflet, but he wouldn't take it. He was an atheist. So then one lady came next to him, young lady, and she sat next to him. Then Mataji gave him a leaflet, gave her a book and a leaflet. She gave like a good donation. So but it's very important to have that discrimination, because the modes of nature are very strong. Actually, in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned like this, that when you try and give mercy to someone, but they're not open to taking it, you can see how the modes of nature are covering them. Krishna is not sanctioning. He's not sanctioning for them to get the mercy. You know, sanction has to be there. So sanction, so somehow or other, ultimately it's all by Krishna's sanction something happens. So someone may be in like what was it? God remember Hari Prabhu, he does prison preaching. He told a story how there was one person put into prison and he was in heavy confinement. But then he started reading Prabhupada's books. So as soon as he surrendered to Krishna, he said, whatever you do is best for me. As soon as he said like that, he came out of heavy confinement, got into a lighter prison cell. So he got removed to a heavy one to a lighter one. So it's also like that if we follow Krishna, then he'll take us out of this prison house, the material world. And the example is given like, because Krishna, whether he's in the material world or the spiritual world, for him it makes no difference. Because even in the material world, he's living in his own spiritual bubble. so it doesn't affect him. So if we connect to Krishna, then we also are part of that spiritual bubble. But that's not but that comes by the association of devotees. Because the association of devotees is like having a spiritual shield around yourself. Maya cannot enter. Even Maya is there, it won't last long, it will disappear. Because the example is given, if there's purity, impurity cannot stay. And the example is like the sun. When the sun comes out, there is no question of darkness. So it's like Krishna consciousness is like this. It's full of light. There's no darkness. But unfortunately, there are people who are like owls. Owls don't like to see the sun. They like to be in darkness. So some people are like that. They like to be in darkness. This is why Srila Prabhupada said these temples are like spiritual hospitals. And they're there to treat everyone, get them cured from their conditioned nature. So, so it's explained, just like the sun, very powerful, it can purify the impurities of this world, isn't it? Like stool and urine can't affect the sun, they get purified, it waters, everything get purified. So Krishna is compared to thousands of suns. So imagine what Krishna can do if you come in touch with him. Even though you may have impurities within you, it doesn't affect him. The example is given like Kalyamana, when he's the one who brought 30 million soldiers to Mathura with Jarasandha, and Krishna didn't fight him. He told Kalyamana, the deal is if you catch me, you win. If I catch you, I win. So Krishna in his Vishnu form just started going fast, and Kalyamana just couldn't catch him. And then he took him to this cave in where Muchukunda was, King Muchukunda. He was fighting with the demons against the demigods, and at some point Kartikeya came, the son of Lord Shiva, and the demigods told Muchukunda, now you should rest. So Muchukunda asked for a blessing, that give me a blessing that no one will disturb me, I just want to rest. And the demigod said, whoever disturbs you untimely, you can burn them to ashes. So Krishna came in this cave and he hid himself, and Kalyamana was coming in, and Kalyamana was very proud. So he thought Krishna was cheating me. Why is he lying like this? So he started kicking the Muchukunda. And Muchukunda woke up and he looked around, he burnt Kalyamana to ashes. Now that same vision went on Krishna, and Krishna did not get affected. So that's an example to show that even though our conditioned nature may be very strong from our previous lives or whatever, but if we focus on Krishna, we'll get purified. So in this age, Krishna has come as the holy name. And Prabhupada gave the example, like Prahlad Maharaj, when he was being attacked by his father, killed in many different ways. Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad in many different ways. Throw him off a cliff, under wild elephants, into the ocean, in boiling oil, in the fire. Prahlad would not die. And so Prahlad was doing Smaranam, remembering Vishnu. So for us, this name of Krishna is not different. If we chant this name, the disturbances in this world will not affect us. And all this process we are doing about discussing Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, is to bring us to this stage where we can take shelter of holy name more. That comes by we are discussing today. So Srila Prabhupada gives an example in one of his lectures. He says this point about developing love for Krishna. He gives a very crude example. Prabhupada said, you can't, any man cannot just go to the street and approach any girl and say, you have to love me. It doesn't work like that. You have to develop a relationship, then love comes. So same thing, if we just serve Krishna, no matter what we are going through, that love for Krishna will come. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. And then the only thing is, we have to be careful of two things to chant the holy name. You have to avoid offenses to the holy name, and don't get into too much sense gratification. So that's the only thing you have to avoid to chant the holy name, to get into pure chanting. But because majority who come to Krishna consciousness are not on that platform, for that reason the deity worship is there. The deity worship has to become purified to that point where your attachment to Krishna becomes strong. And then you can take to chanting in a pure way. So there's Vedi, then Ragunuga. Vedi means rules, regulation, Ragunuga means attachment. So like this, Krishna consciousness is a very simple process. But generally we don't come with that simplicity. We come with our baggage, conditioned nature. So that, then the deity worship is there. We discuss classes on different topics on Bhagavad Gita to help us make her attached to Krishna more. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur comments in Bhakti Aloka, he mentions that there are three levels of people in this world. There's the karmis, there's jnanis, and then there's the devotees. So if someone's inclined to working very hard in this world, you see many people, they're inclined that way, then the karma yoga is good for them. So you do your karma yoga, but you offer your fruits to Krishna. Then at some point, you want to cultivate knowledge. You want to understand things through knowledge. So once, through knowledge, once you develop a higher taste, then you have to stick to that higher taste. So that once the conviction of Krishna becomes strong, then the higher taste comes. As you go through experiences in life, you go through the experiences in the world and realizations come. So once you get the higher taste, then you have to stick to the higher taste. If you go back to knowledge, then there could be a fall down. So the knowledge is there to help you to have that attachment to Krishna. And when you go through the experiences of this world, then through realizations, that understanding of the higher taste comes. How ultimately Krishna is your only shelter. So this is the thing about, in this verse explaining about those who are on that platform, they go by the higher taste. They don't go by these mundane pleasures of this world. Any questions or comments?
You mentioned, thank you. You mentioned about
Yeah, so within the all the Hare Krishna temples, uh, Prabhupada wanted everyone this is like your foundation in spiritual life. So everyone should know these 10 offenses to the holy name. So if you know these 10 offenses, recite every day in the morning. Then your respect for the holy name will come. You'll understand what the holy name is. And then you'll understand that this approaching Krishna is a science. Um, so there is one thing where uh, we have to turn to the line of purity. So in today's society is democracy. Prabhupada called it demon crazy. So if one goes by that approach, then there's no divine qualities. So it says the holy name is more merciful than Krishna in his deity form. So the 10 offenses are very simple. If you just recite every day, you'll get to know them. Very simple. And it will help you to understand that Krishna is a person. That's one of the differences within what we do in the Hare Krishna movement and what the other spiritual practices do outside. Like because we fall in line of parampara, of self-reliant teachers, Prabhupada has given the essence of everything in a simple way. So if we just follow these teachings, everything will come. It's because in Kali Yuga the lifespan is very short. You don't have that long to go, It's very short. So the essence is given in previous ages. The lifespan is longer, but people could not take to Krishna consciousness. The pride was too high. Just now, even rich people, they can't take to Krishna consciousness. There was one person, he's a devotee, he was preaching to a rich person one time, importance of Bhagavad Gita. And the rich person said, Bhagavad Gita is not need for me now. I don't need it now. Just see. This is the thing. So so it requires you have to practice some discipline, association with the right devotees. Then if you're sincerely practicing, Krishna gives you intelligence, how to deal with these different situations. And then in this way your relationship with Krishna becomes deeper, then you feel properly situated. Yeah. May I quickly ask a question?
In the purport, Prabhupada mentions Brahma Yoga. He said, a person in Brahma Yoga or Krishna consciousness is so absorbed in loving service of the Lord that he loses his taste for material sense pleasure. I haven't heard about Brahma Yoga.
I don't know, it's Krishna consciousness.
The Prabhupada is the same, but
I don't know.
do you use this term, Brahma Yoga?
Yeah, I don't know. A person in Brahma Yoga, it's Brahma Yoga or Krishna consciousness, same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing.
I hadn't heard
Same thing, same thing. Yeah, so everything comes to practice like singing, you know. If you sing every day, then it becomes your second nature, isn't it?
I think, yeah, Prabhu wanted to know what are these.
Yeah, we'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah.
With the book is there, we can go through it.
It is.
We can go through
It's
it
not
afterwards.
too simple. You said it's very simple. It's not very
No, no, but we have to we have to discuss it.
It's a long list.
We have to discuss these things. That's why I didn't go through it.
Yeah.
Discuss it afterwards is better, you know.
Well, maybe you can tell about the most important one is the first, isn't it? Last one.
Devotees, yeah. And being inattentive to chanting. That's the main one. If you're inattentive to chanting, that leads to all the other offenses. That's the main thing. Yeah. I'll stop now. Time is up nearly. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You can manage?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, then. Yeah.
This way, here, here.
That's fine. Prabhuji singing? You singing? This is Hare Krishna. There'll be aarti in just few minutes. The curtains will open. This is the aarti we're gonna sing. So if you can join me when I sing. Hare Krishna. Shri Radha Gokul Nand ki Jai, Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai, Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya